All right, so we have with us Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honorable Anil Nandlall, with us, speaking about some of the things coming out from his ministry for this year. We know $1.3 billion has been budgeted to support, for judiciary support to increase access to justice, especially for persons in underserved areas. Let's speak a bit about that and what that will mean for persons, of course, seeking justice.
Access to justice is as important as access to health care. Sometimes we forget that. A man's liberty is as important as his freedom. A man's property is as important as anything else in his life. The right to life is the most fundamental of all freedoms. So it is incumbent upon any society to ensure that its people have ready access to justice. As our country is transforming from a third world country, obviously, to greater heights, us now being an oil producer, and with all the transformational development that you heard will be taking place in the budget, a budget that is the largest ever presented by any stretch of the imagination. You have to have corresponding developments in the area of law and order and justice. Law, order, and justice are the foundational pillars of any civilized democratic country. Without law, there is nothing. You can't have development without law. And if you have a people who feel that they don't get justice in a society or they are not protected by the law, then those people will disregard the law and will take the law into their own hands. That is what is called anarchy, and that is the quickest way for a society to be annihilated. From that perspective, we prioritize the legal sector, the justice sector, and access to justice as with great premium. And this budget, like every other budget we have had, has had a corresponding increase and important allocation in that regard. The judiciary, as you know, is independent. The executive provides the money, and the judiciary plans their own plans, obviously in conjunction with the executive. So in terms of access to justice in this budget, we have courts that will be built in areas where we have never had courts before. Now on the east bank of the Amarara, we have one of the most populated corridors in our country, but we only have two courts there, the Providence Magistrates Court and a Magistrates Court at Diamond Grove. Those two courts have proven to be wholly inadequate to deal with the workload of litigation in that locality. So this year we are increasing the number of courts on the east bank of the Amarara by 2. We have great plans, as you know, for that corridor with new roadways. New businesses will go there along those roadways. We have population explosion at Cherry Jagan International Airport. You have international 5-star hotels going there. And naturally you will have a burst of population there as well. In anticipation of that, we are putting a court at Soesdijk, Timeri Soesdijk area. The physical space has already been identified, and we are also trying to put one somewhere at Friendship on the east bank of the Amarara, but along the new roadway. That's the road from Diamond to Soesdijk. We don't have a court currently at Port Kaituma. One is being built there now. We have a court at Vigilance. We are building a brand new court that will accommodate 2 magistrates at Vigilance. Then we are in the same sector again, we have the constitutional reform process that will kickstart this year. You know, all the parties in the parliament have promised constitutional reform as part of their manifesto. We have a budgetary sum allocated for that engagement, and the work will resume, because it has begun already, shortly after the budget debates are concluded. I am the chairman of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Constitutional Reform, and will be spearheading that process. We are looking at the way in which the committee should do its work, and we are planning the agenda. It's a big endeavor, a big undertaking, so it will take some time to plan out. Then an important initiative that we are launching also this year is inducting the LLB graduates into a training program that will be conducted at the University of Guyana to train them in the area of prosecution. They will then join the police prosecutors in the magisterial courts, in the magistrates' court, right across the length and breadth of Guyana. Right now, you have police prosecutors prosecuting against lawyers. There is an imbalance there. Though the police have been doing a great job over the decades, there is an imbalance because you have a trained legal mind against a policeman. As a result, there is a great feeling out there that victims of crime are not getting their fair treatment in the court, and the state's interest is not adequately represented. This initiative is intended to correct that balance, that imbalance. So by mid-year, we should have these persons coming into the magistrates court system, and they will be working with the state and they'll be prosecuting. So that's a major revolutionary initiative that will come on this year. Then, of course, all the developments that you heard about in the budget can only take place in a legal foundation made for it. You can't build a house, a 10-story building, without adequate foundation. Most of these developmental projects that you hear about, they require a legal framework. So we have a packed agenda of legislation for this year that we have to churn out in every sector to support the government's developmental program. So in every ministry, we have several pieces of legislation that we have to draft, to bring to the Parliament, so as to kickstart many of the projects that you heard about. So that again is a massive undertaking that the Legal Affairs Ministry is tasked with, and we have to play an important role in the developmental agenda of this country.
Thank you so much, Attorney General. We appreciate it. That has been the Attorney General speaking on the advancements that will take place in the justice sector. Of course, just to remind you, the Attorney General spoke of new magistrates' courts. We're supposed to have 2 additional magistrates' courts on the east bank of the Marara. Additionally, there will be one at Port Kaituma so that persons can get access to justice. The Attorney General also spoke about legislative reform that is on the cards and that has already been rolled out. So they're going to advance that. The administration is going to advance that this year.